Welcome to PR Powerhouse, helping female entrepreneurs to get in the press and to gain PR. I'm Jo Swan, and I'll be sharing how to harness the power of the media to boost your credibility and business visibility, no matter what stage in business you're at. Because I'm on a mission to show you that PR is not just for the big boys. In this show, you'll learn how to reach out to journalists and own your place in the press, because you are ready to become a PR powerhouse. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to PR Powerhouse. Now, today we're talking about story. So I know I talk about story a lot. There's lots of episodes where I've spoken to you about the power of your story, but it's come back to the top of the list today because we have just launched a little mini course called Story Steps, which was like a bit of a flash of inspiration for me when I was writing my book and I was trying to work out some of the reasons why people stopped themselves from doing PR. And that's exactly what last week's episode was all around. Some of the reasons why people stop themselves from taking their first steps into PR, even though they know how powerful it can be. So what we created with Story Steps is basically the first part of the process to just get you over that initial hurdle of not knowing where to start, feeling like everything's too hard, feeling like everything's too big, feeling like you're not ready for PR, feeling like you are just not organised enough for PR in terms of you don't have your story ready, in place, you're not able to communicate it in a concise or effective way even often. So the story part of the process has really come back to the top of my mind in terms of really appreciating the power of that. And actually, that's one of my favourite things in terms of the work that we do, really helping people uncover the power of their story and really digging down to get to those angles, to get to all those really interesting elements about you that you don't even think twice about, that you would quite happily just ignore and never reference at all. But I would get giddy about it and go, oh my God, you've got to tell people that. So the Story Steps is something I'm super, super excited about. And as a result of creating that, it's made me start to think about, I want to talk to you about the power of really nailing your story and really get you to appreciate actually what this can do for your business. So that's what today's episode is all about. What we're going to cover today are 5 ways that nailing your story will boost your business. So this week alone, we've seen clients win awards, get paid speaking gigs, win new dream clients, be approached for collaborations and secure national press coverage, impacting millions of people. Like I'm talking huge, massive articles in really, really recognized publications. All of this comes from them having nailed their story and from them getting super, super clear and confident on communicating what makes them awesome, what makes them uniquely awesome. And I think we take for granted sometimes the actual power of really doing the foundational work here and really getting our story together, because these are all the ripple effects that come when you do it. None of these things can happen if you don't nail your story. And as we celebrate these amazing successes of our clients, it does really make me sort of stop and appreciate the process that we've taken people through to be able to get them to this point. So there's been loads of celebrations this week. We've been doing lots of dancing around the office, lots of little whoop whoops and yay, because we generally get so excited about the results that our clients are getting. So the impact of really nailing your story comes in lots and lots of different ways. So I'm going to take you through the 5 ways today. Okay, so number 1, it gives you a script. Okay, we all quite like having a path to follow, don't we? In business, it's so tricky. There's so many bumps in the road that actually if someone promises you a path to follow that's going to be successful, we quite like to follow it, don't we? Even though we know that we need to do something that is unique and original for us. So the power of having a script is it really makes us have confidence. And from a PR perspective, when you nail your story with a solid structure and you know that you've pulled it together in a way that makes sense, in a way that's going to get the reaction that you want from the reader, in a way that is going to evoke confidence and conviction about what it is that you're saying, when you nail your story in this way, you get consistency. So being able to actually repeat your message and how you introduce yourself and how you talk about your mission, being able to say that consistently in the same way is super, super powerful when you've got this structure that gives you that consistency. Obviously, it also saves you shitloads of time in terms of not having to rewrite the wheel every single time. So every time you have to do a new introduction, when you've got your story nailed as almost as a script, it means that you're not having to dig deep into the depths of your brain every time to come up with something new. And we don't want to be coming up with something new all the time, because consistency is actually key, and repetition brings recognition. So that's a really, really important thing to grasp. Repetition brings recognition. So often we see people fighting against saying the same thing again and again. They try and rewrite the way that they introduce themselves. They try and think of 10 billion different ways to describe themselves and what they do. But actually, you're shooting yourself in the foot if that's the approach that you're taking, because that is not what your audience needs. They need you to be repetitive. They need to get your message and get it again and again and again and again and again, a million times through different mediums, through different routes. They need access to your message so many times for it to stick. So the more that you can stick to your one core message, a mini statement, mission statement, that packs a much better punch. So having a script as such, which just means having a way that you communicate your story that is authentic. It's not something that's written that isn't going to sound like you. It's just finding a way to really succinctly tell people who you are, what you do, and why. If you can create a power paragraph that enables you to do that, and then you rinse and repeat it, you get that consistency and you get that repetition and recognition. And that works from your audience point of view. And it also really, really works from a media perspective, because media love consistency. They love to know what you stand for. They love ease. They love speed. So if you can get all of that across in a really succinct little introduction, then you're onto a winner. Okay, number 2, it brings you confidence. So when you've done the work to craft your story and your message, and you know it from every inch in your being, it's absolutely so valuable, because what happens then is you lose all of the confusion, you lose all of the brain fog, you lose all of the umming and ahhing and the unsure vibe that comes across when you're sort of trying to cobble together a bit of an introduction. When you absolutely have owned a story that you have already crafted carefully, and you absolutely embrace this message, you're ignited by it. You're excited by it, and you are absolutely empowered by it. We find this so much that when people really get to grips with owning how they communicate themselves, how they can concisely convey what they do from a place of confidence, where they know that everything that they represent is represented in this introduction, is represented in this little mini bio, is represented in this mission statement, because they've carefully crafted it and they've really thought about everything that is within there. It brings you a really, really valuable sense of confidence. And what this does, it then leads to showing up more for your business. It actually leads to you taking quite bold steps. We've seen clients launch things they never would have launched because of kind of stepping into themselves and actually being really proud of what it is that they're doing, really feeling excited about what they're here for and their mission. And when you feel that, it brings a new sense of confidence, and that levels you up. It levels you up to the next stage in your business. And we have seen this happen. We've seen clients experience record-breaking growth for their business once they have nailed their story. And I know that the two things you might think, oh, what's the big deal about nailing your story? It's not going to change my life. It's not going to change my business. Do you know what, though? It just might. Okay, number 3. Number 3, it helps you own your space. Now, this one is coming at it more from a point of view of your clients, of your customers, of your ideal clients, of the people that you're trying to attract to you. So it's increasingly difficult to stand out in your industry. It's increasingly difficult to stand out in the online space. We know it's getting busier. We know it's getting more crowded. We know that it's easy to get lost in the noise. So why should your dream clients choose you? Why should they trust you? Well, they've got to connect with you in the first place to be able to do either of those things, haven't they? You've got to take them through this process of get to know, like, and trust you. And we say know, love, and trust you, because the more connection you can create with that ideal client, the more of a natural fit you are going to feel to them. So they've got to connect with you. And from there, they're all in. Like, once people buy into you and they get you and they feel like you are one of them, they feel like you're one of their people, then they're all in for whatever it is that you're trying to sell to them. So having clarity on what makes you uniquely you, what makes you uniquely awesome, then enables them to trust you. And when you're thinking about these things, when you're wondering about what is it that I need to say that makes me stand out, there's probably a million things that you don't even know about, that you don't even process as being special. And that's sometimes where working with someone like us enables you to just step into that, because it is quite hard sometimes to recognize what it is that is making you different, that's making you special, that's making you that person that they need to connect with. So sometimes a little bit of extra help can go a long way in this area. But basically being able to communicate with confidence what it is that makes you special, then it helps you take up space. And then it helps you become that go-to person that your clients need. So being able to nail your story, being able to communicate your mission, being able to really clearly and concisely get across what you are here to do, how you can help people, it really, really helps you in your space. Okay, so number 4. It makes you searchable. So this one might feel like a bit of a strange one in terms of how is nailing my story going to make me searchable? And what do I mean by that? I mean SEO friendly. I mean it's going to help more people find you. So if you are consistent and repetitive in getting your story out there, then you will start to get some PR and you will start to be recognized and known for your thing, whatever that thing is. Okay, if you talk about the same thing enough times, then it sticks and you become recognized as the person that is the expert in that thing. Now, the more content you can have online that talks about you and your thing, then the more elevated your online profile will be. And we all know that this is how people find us these days. This is how people search for us. They search online for certain keywords. They search online for certain things that they want to know, questions that they want answers for. So they will be typing in things that are related to your expertise, your subject area. And the more searchable you are as an expert in that space, the more likely you are to be found by your potential clients. Potential partners as well. So we've had quite a lot of collaborations come from people's online profiles of them showing up as the expert in their field and then being asked to partner with other brands or companies or being asked to speak at events. And the same thing happens also for the media. So the media love to search online to find the experts in certain industries, in certain fields, when they're looking for people to quote, when they're looking for experts to comment. So the more that they can find about you and your thing, the more likely they are going to come to you and ask you to be featured in a story, in an article that they're creating. So none of this is going to be possible if you haven't nailed your story, because if it's not clear what you stand for, if you haven't identified your thing, if you're not great at communicating what it is you're an expert in and connecting all of that back, then you're not going to be found. So this is why actually doing this foundation stuff of getting your story straight, being repetitive, making sure that you've got a lot of content out there about what it is that you stand for, what it is that you're an expert in, then it opens doors in so many different ways. Okay, and the last one, number 5, it makes you media friendly. So I've just touched upon that in the last point about how the press like to know that you are a specialist in something. And when working with journalists, one of the things that you've got to realise is that you need to do the work. So we talk about this all the time in PR, that you've got to earn your stripes. You've got to earn the privilege of being in the media. And that usually means that you've got to do the hard work for them. You've got to do the hard work for the journalists. And you've got to provide them with something that is ready to use. And you provide them with it on a plate. So you provide it written in a way that they could just lift it. They could just use it. The media hate having to go backwards and forwards, okay? So they don't have the time to faff around trying to dig out of you all of the key information.
They hate it if they have to ask you a million questions to get to the bottom of who you are, to understand what you do. They just don't have the time, and they don't have the headspace, and they don't feel like they should have to do that either. They are doing you a favor by helping you get exposure. So the more you're prepared, the more content you've got prepared in a media-friendly style, in a way that they like to receive it, then the more chance you have of getting their support so that you can share your story and you can share your mission. And being featured in the press is an absolute game changer in so many ways. And the first thing that you got to do to make you even in with a chance for that is to get your story straight, is to really nail your story, is to understand your angles, is to understand the elements that you need to pull out, and then you need to construct that in a way that is concise and in a way that really, really evokes confidence. When you do that, that is when the magic happens. So, I hope that is a convincing little 5-point reasoning behind why you should really think about getting your story straight. So if you haven't got to that point, if you haven't got to the point of actually really sitting down and consciously doing this, proactively pulling this information together, rather than just using a little bio that you've knocked together and that you've regurgitated a million times, but that you don't actually feel is embodying you. Or if you pull together a bit of something from your website that's been written by somebody else, but actually it's not really getting to the core of who you are, what you do, how you feel about the work that you do and why you do it, then I would really encourage you to revisit how you are introducing yourself. Because if you're not doing this properly, you are missing out on so many opportunities. If you haven't got this nailed, then you are stopping yourself. You're putting yourself, there's like an unconscious barrier that you're putting in your way of really, really maximizing your impact. So yeah, I really want you to have a little look at how you introduce yourself. Have a little look at the bios that you put out. Have a little look at the introductions that you use. If there's a social media post to say, who are you? What do you say in that? Is it consistent every time? Is it something that you can repeat? Is it something that you use with absolute conviction? If not, it might be time to go back to the drawing board. If you would like help with any part of this, please do come get involved in our world. So come and join us in our free group, PR You Can Do It. And I also mentioned that we've just launched a mini program called Story Steps. So do reach out to me about that if you think that actually really constructing something with support from us to get yourself a really clear story from day one is something that would be powerful. Please reach out to me through Instagram at JoChalkPR or through Facebook. All right, guys, I hope this has been useful. I am wishing you a fabulous week, and I will see you later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to PR Powerhouse with me, Jo Swan. If you want to feel empowered and supported and excited about getting in the press, come and join us in our free community over on Facebook at PR You Can Do It. I would absolutely love to see you there so I can help you take those next steps to getting in the media.